projects with this moratorium. And I don't think this is what you intended. I really don't think this is what you intended. I think you were worried with the growth that was unbridled, unchecked, and you wanted to closely review that expansion to ensure that it met within what I would call smart growth and smart development. This moratorium doesn't give you that. What you need to be doing is reviewing it while this process continues, so that you can see what unintended consequences you've introduced into the formula as a result of, I don't want to say rushing, but being aggressive in terms of satisfying the needs of the constituents that have asked you to slow down growth here in East Stuart. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jeremy Lemaster.
Jeremy Lemaster, Medalist Building Group, Medalist Homes. Some of you might know me. I own 4 properties, one at 37 Semel Street, one at 315 Osceola, one at Caner Highway, and another one at Caner Highway next to the Estates of Stuart. My other property was on Caner Highway across from the Chamber of Commerce. First off, if there is an exclusion to a zoning in progress, that will be discrimination. I am all for the building department, Martin County, and all that stuff, but you guys have got to read this code and understand it. You guys are having a hard time making a decision about a FEMA. You guys are elected officials. For you guys not to know the code, the process of how it is really, really disheartening. Okay, by sitting back there. Now, tomorrow, I have a meeting with my land planner and my attorney to approve the changes that were comments from our 3 previous applications. The comments that staff wrote that they were incomplete and needed to get submitted. I will tell you, if you guys do approve a zoning in progress, there will be legal recourse. And you guys sit up there for whatever reason and think the public is not going to be affected. I'm only one person, but I promise you this, there is so many other people that have land rights that you guys are trying to take away. And whether you guys say it's just a zoning in progress, I went through a zoning in progress and I got emails back and forth with county staff 2 years ago. I got delayed months and months and months, and it was actually 8 months I have. And I have it in writing back and forth. If you guys want to go through it, go ahead. Because we'll go back in time and we'll go from the back portion of it and just keep on running forward. Because staff does not understand the code. And there's people in this room that know this code inside and out better than staff. And there's attorneys that know this code inside and out. And you guys got to know this code. You guys got to understand the implications that it affects people. You don't want 4-story apartment buildings? Great. But you have to understand the code and understand the implications of how you're going to be taking away people's rights. And I will tell you this, the financial obligation that I have, if you guys put a zoning in progress and then do an extension, will be financially liable to City of Stuart, because I will not stop to that point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Nick Schroff.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Nicholas Schroth. I'm a resident of the City of Stuart. My firm, NAI South Coast, is a commercial real estate brokerage and management company that has been part of this community since 1983. I've had the pleasure of working at South Coast since 2007. I'm a partner in that firm. I'd like to thank Mike for his clarification on what this ZIP includes. As much as I hope this is the case, I'd like to share with you an example of what happened to a client of mine just last week. Earlier this year, we had the honor of representing Bob and Ruth Flagg in the sale of their downtown building, which they had owned since 1990 when they operated their furniture store there. Over time, they converted the building into a multi-tenant space, developed a new project on the former parking lot, and contributed significantly to the vibrancy of downtown. Their legacy is a large part of what makes downtown what it is today. The buyer of that property had plans to invest in much-needed exterior improvements. On our advice, he consulted a local architect who lives and works in our city and planned to engage a local contractor for this work, which would have been a significant investment in our downtown. However, when the architect contacted the city on September 3rd, 2024, he was informed we are not accepting any commercial permit applications. This message, delivered on behalf of this ZIP initiative, made it clear that certain interests do not want this investment. Commissioners, while I understand the desire to manage development, the ZIP goes too far. The economy itself has already cooled the multifamily development market, which was a natural correction after years of inactivity. Interest rates have stabilized the real estate market, and new applications for multifamily development have significantly slowed because demand has leveled off. In many ways, the market has already achieved what this ZIP seems to be aimed at. Yet in the process, this ZIP stands to harm local architects, contractors, and real estate professionals whose livelihood depends on projects like these. The denial of a nearly 188-year-old building's improvements is not just bureaucratic overreach, it's detrimental to our local economy and the people who rely on these jobs. The impact is being felt now, just 2 weeks into the process. Moreover, this ZIP is unnecessary. Any development greater than 1 acre already requires a vote from this commission, meaning you have control over approving or denying projects based on their individual merits. Why impose a citywide moratorium when you can simply vote no on developments you oppose? Shutting down the entire city's growth will have a lasting financial repercussions that I fear may lead to the very downturns you are trying to avoid. I urge you to reconsider the scope of this ZIP, hold a workshop, engage with the people, not just the people that voted for you, and get this thing figured out.
Thank you, Nick.
Mr. Frank McChrystal.
A previous speaker used the word balance. I think you represent balance. The common sense people that put you in those chairs looked around and said, please help us. It's only 90 days. There's nothing new here. Everyone who spoke before me has a vested interest in not having a ZIP. The common people that want you to slow things down, or at least the balance of taking some time out to look at what exactly the previous 1 or 2 commissions that were resoundingly voted out of office have put in the pipeline. It sounds like it needs some tweaks, but if your overall concept is to slow down a little bit and see what's in the pipeline, then thank you for that.
Mr. Joseph Cooper.
Good evening, Mr. Cooper.
Good evening, Commissioners. Joseph Cooper, 906 Southeast 9th Street, also GA Construction Group. I'm a licensed general contractor, local, right here in East Stuart. A couple of things we're talking about putting this ZIP in place. It's very detrimental. It does hit to the heart, as we just mentioned about the economic impact of doing this. I'm in the business of, building and permitting and stuff like that. And if I can't get these types of projects going, and it's hard for me to kind of feed my kids. And everybody, if you've got kids, you understand what that means. I think this whole process of understanding the intent of the ZIP is unfairly being discussed tonight without the person who has the background to kind of discuss this in detail in the commission is Commissioner Eula Clark, who has a planning background. To take up this matter without her being present is really derelict as a commission, because no one up on this dais has the experience and the understanding of what this means, and to be able to discuss it in detail. So I don't think this matter should be taken up in her absentee. And so we need to kind of, growing up here, everybody talked about the boogeyman coming, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. It did not come. It's not going to come. Did we have some development in the last couple of years? We needed it. We were underdeveloped. We needed the improvements. And so they've been positive. They've been impactful. And so if you've migrated to this area, you don't get to tell people not to come today. So, but if you were born and raised, maybe you may have an argument, okay? You don't get to come to my town. Well, I was born in Martin Moore, right down the street, grew up on 9th Street, still there. My dad's 93. What if we would have cut the borders off and says no more development? I wouldn't be here. I had to go to South Florida because to just earn money as a builder. Now I'm back, and you guys are going to put the ZIP in place because you want to talk about overdevelopment and overgrowth. We have not been overdeveloped. We have not. We will not be Fort Lauderdale. We will not become West Palm Beach. We're going to always be the city of Stuart, the county of Martin. We're unique. We're a coastal town. We're not, crime is not out of control. Buildings are not out of control. We need to make sure we're not being overzealous in trying to create a process which is going to stymie economically folks like myself. And it's not, and we're doing this, we're taking up a discussion, and you don't have the most tenured, most experienced person to discuss this matter of ZIP. Without her being here, I think it's a travesty to take up this matter and vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all done, Mayor Rich.
Thank you. Discussion?
Mayor, I would like to slightly amend my motion by exempting government buildings per Martin County's request.
So there's a motion to
That would require a second.
provide an exclusion. Yes, I'm just stating, is there a proper form here, Mike? Or
Please, it's a motion to amend his original motion, and you would need a second to.
Okay.
I
The
second the
motion is
motion.
amended, you need
Okay.
a second to be amended.
So we have a motion and a second,
Seconder, I believe. whatever.
and a second by Commissioner Giobi. Do you wish to talk about that amendment? Well, we can talk about them all.
Well, now you have a motion on the floor for a zoning in
amendment.
progress with an exception to, the motion was amended and the second was amended. So the motion on the floor now is a motion
To
for the entrance of a zoning in progress with the exception of government buildings.
Okay. Do you all understand that?
Yes.
I do. Mayor Rich, may I?
Yeah, Commissioner
What about
Reed.
any applicants that have pre-application meetings with our development department already? How do the board members?
A pre-application meeting is not sufficient. It has to be a submitted application.
Entire application?
Any other questions or comments, Commissioner Reed?
That was the,
No questions.
That's it. After last week's meeting, I was hoping to be able to concentrate on Brightline and seeing if we can find a way forward. But the number of calls I got regarding this issue from some of the oldest business people in this town, and the anger that they expressed to me, and then usually following that was, "You're going to get sued. You know that, right?" Deals have been threatened, and I know business people who have had to work very, very hard to keep their financing, to keep their partner. It's not only the practical reality of business, and business likes to get done, it's also the tone we're setting with some of these financial institutions. I voted for the first ZIP, or not the first one, but the ZIP 2 years ago. And you need to understand how powerful these are. Since we put that ZIP in place for multifamily housing, no new applications, no new approval, none, zero. You think, oh, just 90 days. No. It sets a tone, it creates an atmosphere. And you have to, as I said, tread very carefully. And the point was made, too. It seems like we have no confidence in our own ability. I'm very confident that this group, if there's a non-conforming use that comes forward, they're probably going to say no. But rather than us, this motion, we're just saying none of it. We don't want to hear anything about it, rather than it should be our job to evaluate them one at a time. I mean, if you want to put a awning on your business, you can't do that. Right? Walmart wants to expand their ability for people to safely pick up their orders, and we're not allowing them to do that. This is a jobs killer, and this is a business killer. And I don't see the need for it. This is a solution looking for a problem, and I just don't see the problem right now. And I certainly, that amendment does not undo the damage that this can potentially do. So those are my comments. Any other comments? If not,
Yes, I would just say that, nobody here is trying to take away your property rights. I'm not. But there's a lot of concern from residents, and they voted overwhelmingly to try to prevent the further sprawl of these 4-story mixed-use things that belong in the urban core of downtown from running down US 1 in Canner. This commission wants to take a look at our code and see if, not necessarily completely undoing Dwani. I don't think anybody up here doesn't respect what Dwani did, but going forward, do we need to have the same amount of density, for instance, in conditional use? Do we need to be able to uphold our parking requirements? Do we want to have half units in our land use? I mean, these are reasonable things to look at. They are. And so, what's that?
I'm sorry, we can't. Public comment has been completed.
There's a lot of frustration with some of the things that were introduced into our land use and comp plan in previous commissions. And so for me personally, that's why I want to look at these.
I will provide concluding remarks. As was said, we did the form-based code in the Creek District and in East Stewart, and it did not require a zip. It was workshop after workshop, year after year, so much public input, and we ended up with a very good new set of codes. So I don't understand why we can't take that same path that proved so successful and had so much public input. Seeing no more comment, roll call, please.
And maybe for clarity, Suse, can we restate what,
Can you have Mr. Baggett restate the motion as it now
because
stands?
there was some confusion last time.
And any changes?
I will try. So
Yeah,
the
no
motion
change.
was for approval of resolution number 95-2024 with the addition, in addition to single-family dwellings, also governmental buildings.
Governmental building.
Is that, do we understand all of this? Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Mayor Rich?
No.
And Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
We have a D&D here. I don't think
know if we do or do
I don't think we have anything to D&D, do we, Mr.
No, we don't.
Martell?
we? Nope.
Seeing no other items for our consideration, this meeting is adjourned.